Hey Cal fans, welcome to the first football film study of 2020 here on Right for California. Obviously, the season didn't get off to the start that we wanted on Sunday, but now it's time to learn from those mistakes and move forward. So in this video, we're going to talk about something that Cal's offense did struggle with against UCLA, and then we'll talk about what the implications of that might be for the Oregon State game. If you watched the UCLA game on Sunday, then you probably noticed that UCLA was bringing a lot of pressure against the Bears. Sometimes those were cover zero blitzes where they simply brought more defenders than Cal could block, but not all problems came from those overloads. Some of those successful blitzes revealed more important schematic issues, and so in this video we're going to go a little in depth into pressure and protection assignments to see what went wrong for the Bears, what they could have done to make their plays more successful, and what we should know about the Oregon State game coming up tomorrow. For a good point of entry into all of this, let's check out this play. On this play, UCLA is bringing this cornerback up at the top of the screen, and this is potentially a big problem for Cal on this play. If we scroll forward just a bit, we can see that all three of these receivers down here at the bottom of the screen are releasing out into the pattern, as is the tight end up here at the top of the screen. And in addition to that, Cal's free releasing this running back right here. So sometimes running backs will stay in for a little bit and they'll check to see if a blitzer's coming. That's called a check release. On a free release, there's no such assignment. That running back is releasing straight out of the backfield, as we can see from Brown right here. So he's not looking for any blitzer, he's just going. That's going to put Cal in a true 5-man protection with just their 5 offensive linemen in to block. Typically in a 5-man protection like this, the offensive line is going to be responsible for the 5 most dangerous rush threats. Here UCLA's actually got 6 defenders right up here at the line of scrimmage, and so all of Cal's offensive line calls are going to be oriented to blocking some combination of 5 of these defenders. This is because there's no world where you can just ignore a guy who's completely walked up onto the line of scrimmage, so Cal can't be worrying about all of these other guys. They've got to be focused on getting at least 5 of these 6 players blocked. If we look down here at the bottom of the screen, we see that UCLA's actually got 4 defenders on the line right here, and there are only 2 up at the top of the screen, so Cal's probably making a call that's going to get their center involved as a 3rd defender to the left side, because he's already got the left tackle and left guard over here. They have more defenders down at the bottom of the screen than they do up at the top, so they probably are going to want their center to work this way. When the center's initial look is to work to the left, and what that's going to do is that's going to tell the right guard and the right tackle that they're manned up on these 2 defenders right here, because they know that they're not necessarily going to have any center help coming to them, so they've got to take out these 2 first-level defenders 2-on-2. Post-snap, this is the structure that UCLA is doing a really nice job of attacking. So remember, our right guard and right tackle are responsible for blocking these 2 defenders man on man. And so what UCLA is doing is first they're taking this interior defensive lineman and they're stabbing him down inside. Remember that the right guard has no guaranteed center help coming from the inside, and so he's going to have to chase that guy when he comes down inside. So keep an eye on this defender right here. Watch what he does after the snap. Okay, he works down inside toward the hash, and the right guard has to come with him, okay? In the same vein, the right tackle here is going to be responsible for the stand-up end on the edge, so when that guy rushes around the outside, the right tackle has to work out to block him. And what this does, when the guard comes down inside with his man and the tackle goes outside with his man, that's going to open up a very nice lane for that cornerback blitzing to get a straight shot at the quarterback. So what's supposed to happen here? How could Cal have accounted for this blitzer coming, even though they don't have enough blockers to this side to pick him up? Without being in the meetings, I can't say for sure exactly what the protection rules are, but my guess is that this blitzer is the responsibility of the quarterback and that he's supposed to account for him with a hot read. No matter what kind of protection the offense is in, whether it's a 5-man protection like this one with just the offensive line, or if it's a max protect situation, it's always up to the quarterback to know who his line can and cannot block. If the defense blitzes one of those guys that the offensive line can't pick up, it's generally going to be up to the quarterback to account for that guy with a hot read. So ideally what would happen is this would get snapped. Garbers would see, he would know that this defender is someone that his offensive line can't block. When he sees that guy coming, he would turn and throw immediately out to Chris Brown here on the edge, which he could be doing as early as right now, and then Brown would have a lot of green grass in front of him to get down the sidelines for some yards here. Garbers is going to end up throwing it out to Brown, but it's going to end up happening late. So here we see that blitz. Here comes the cornerback bringing the pressure. Instead of throwing that out to Brown right away, Garbers is going to step up to avoid that rusher and then sling it out to Brown late. The problem is that by the time he does this, by the time the Brown catches this ball, a safety who was playing off screen a little bit before has had time to see Garbers rolling in that direction, turning his shoulders to throw to Brown, and so he's had time to rally and make this tackle for a short gain. Not what you need on 3rd and 9. On this play, we're going to see Garbers do a much better job of this. So here, Cal's got an empty backfield, so there's no running back there. And so this can only be a 5-man pass protection here. And we see that UCLA is again crowding the line of scrimmage. They're putting 6 people up and playing cover 0 behind it. So we already know that there's going to be one guy along this line that the offensive line can't block. To account for that, the offensive line's just going to slide to the right. So if we watch this post-snap, we see the offensive line's all stepping to the right. That's going to let them block these 5 defenders, and then they're going to leave this backside edge defender unblocked. That's going to be Garber's man. So we see right here, the ball gets snapped. Garbers peeks out at that guy, sees that he's coming, and so he immediately throws it out into the flat, replacing that blitzer with a receiver. He's able to turn upfield and get a nice gain on 1st and 10. One more time. The ball gets snapped. The offensive line all slides to the right, as we see right here. Garbers is reading this edge defender. That's the 6th man that the offensive line can't block. If that guy would have bailed out, then Garbers wouldn't have wanted to throw out to this receiver. But when that guy blitzes, there's nobody left for this receiver in the immediate vicinity, so Garbers can throw it out to him, and he can get downfield for a nice gain. Good use of a hot read to beat an all-out blitz like that. Here we're going to see the same basic protection, but this play is going to be a lot uglier, and I'm going to argue that this is because Cal's route structure isn't very well coordinated with their protection structure. So we see once again that Cal's got an empty backfield. There's no running back here. We're in a true 5-man protection with just the offensive line, and once again, UCLA is crowding the line of scrimmage with 6 defenders, so they've got one more guy than the offense can possibly block. They're playing cover 0 over all of the receivers, so there are no safeties deep. It's just straight up man-on-man across the board. As we saw in the last play, against this 6-man first level right here, Cal's just going to slide the offensive line to the right. That's going to let them pick out kind of the first 5 defenders that we're seeing right here, leaving this edge defender as a 6th guy unblocked, and that's going to be the quarterback's man. Now, when I say that the routes aren't well coordinated with this protection strategy, on the previous play, we saw that a running back was coming out of the backfield into the flat, and that was a really good option. On this play, the equivalent guy is going to be this slot receiver right here, but instead of running out to the flat as he did on the last play, he's running a slant, so keep an eye on him as this play moves forward. Okay, we see here comes that unblocked edge defender. Offensive line's all slid. This guy is running a slant back to the inside. Now, the reason that's a little bit risky is because UCLA isn't blitzing all 6 of those guys. They're actually dropping these 2 linebackers out. Here, it looks like those guys are running away from this slant, like they're not going to be able to get to it. That's just because Garbers is already committed to this throw. We can imagine if we come back right here and Garbers is looking to the left to throw this slant instead of looking to the right to throw out here, these linebackers wouldn't be running down toward the bottom of the screen. They'd be in perfect position to drop under that slant. So Garbers is stuck in a situation where he has to get rid of the ball fast because of this unblocked 6th defender on the edge. But the route that they're running up here isn't a great hot route to attack that guy because UCLA does have the ability to bail these linebackers out and get underneath that route. This wouldn't be the case if that guy were releasing out into the flat as the running back was on the previous play. So in this case, Garbers isn't deciding to work this side of the field, and we can understand now that that was probably a pretty good move. Instead, it's 3rd and 3. He just needs to get to the first down marker here. So Cal's looking to work a pick with the inside receiver in the trips right here and with the outside receivers. So this guy is going to release out into the flat, and then this guy is going to release inside to try and create a rub for him. Because remember, these guys are all in man, so they want to cross these 2 receivers with each other and create some traffic for these defenders to run through. So let's watch just the passing concept down here. We see that inside receiver starts to break out to the flat. We see that outside receiver's coming in to set the pick for him. And the idea is that this defender who's covering the guy who's running out to the flat is going to get caught up in this traffic and you won't be able to run with him. Okay, obviously that doesn't happen. Why is that? Well, remember, UCLA's got this unblocked defender coming off the edge. Garbers has to get rid of this ball really fast. Look at where this receiver is when the ball gets thrown. So here Garbers catches the snap. He winds up to throw. He's releasing it right here. Notice at this point, this receiver hasn't even really gotten close to the point where he's crossing with this outside receiver. So at this point, when the ball's in the air, this guy hasn't gotten the benefit of the pick that Cal's trying to set up because Garbers has had to throw the ball so fast. We can imagine if Garbers can hold onto the ball a little bit longer and maybe wait to throw it right about here so that the ball's not in the air here, but it's leaving his hand right now, then this receiver is going to have the benefit of that pick. He might be able to get outside and away from his defender. We can see here that if Garbers hadn't thrown the ball yet, if he still had the ball in his hand and he could still potentially throw to any of these receivers, then this cornerback right here is going to have to continue running with his receiver. He can't just abandon him, so he'd have to keep running with him inside, and that'd create that pick for this defender right here. But the problem is that when Garbers throws the ball right here before the receivers have crossed, the cornerback's able to see the throw. He's just going to drop off of his man and get right in the path of the guy that Garbers is trying to hit in the flat. And he's going to be able to get some contact and lead this to become an incompletion. So because Garbers has to get rid of the ball so early, Cal doesn't get the benefit of this pick. This cornerback's able to fall off of his man and get in the way to disrupt this pass. So to recap the major points that we've seen here, UCLA ran a lot of cover zero. That's what we're seeing right here, where they basically just have one defender for every receiver. And what that let them do when they didn't play with any deep safeties, it let them put more defenders on the line than Cal's blockers could possibly account for. And in that situation, it was going to be up to the offensive line to block 5 of the 6 guys who are on the line right here. It was going to be up to the quarterback to account for the 6th with a hot read. On some plays, we saw that Garbers did this successfully, but on other plays, we saw that he didn't, either because he didn't see the blitzer and so didn't throw hot efficiently or on time, or because Cal's passing structure, their route combination, wasn't very well coordinated with what they were doing in protection, and that messed up the timing of some of the routes that were being thrown. So the question now is, how many of these problems might Cal run into against Oregon State, and what might be different in this game that's happening on Saturday? In general, the Beavers are going to keep their pressure package much more in the box, and so most of the rushers are going to be people from that group that the offensive line can account for, meaning that Garbers isn't going to have to throw hot to survive in this game. Oregon State will still do things to try and confuse the Bears' blocking schemes, but in this game, that's going to put the onus on the offensive line to diagnose what's happening in front of them and react, and not on Garbers to beat unblocked rushers with his arm, and so hopefully he's going to have a little bit more time in this game. Alright, that's it for this video. If you like this kind of stuff, check out my Patreon site at patreon.com/Burke18, where I'll be posting a longer breakdown of the UCLA game and an assessment of Musgrave's offense soon. Otherwise, I'll see you back here next week for the second episode of the football film study here at Right for California.